I also made an apple pie for this occasion, and she got herself a slice. As I went over to help with the grill, Kevina began backseat cooking. Oh my god, not like this. You are not going to tell me how to barbecue my meat. Sit over there and do your best impression of a pig with lipstick.
What do you think?
Hello, friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily cringe content anywhere on the internet. Promise swearsies, it's just a fact, and it's totally science. Go ahead, look it up. Thank you so much. Today, we're looking into a Cringe Hospital, but what really caught my mind is this user's username. It kind of gives me some Ethan Ralph is fat vibes. So welcome to the stage user Ergodan's Sex Goat. Yep, that's definitely a name we could pick. With me sufficiently hooked and entertained by just a simple username, I can only imagine how great the story is going to be. So let's jump into it and find out. I worked at a Cringe Hospital. Number 1. Yes, I didn't know you could edit your Reddit username when I registered. Yes, I regret it. Why? Because Ergodan did a great job with Turkey's infrastructure, huh? Spreading this slander on the internet. That's really funny, though. Hello to ReddX and the whole community. Hi, Ergodan's Sex Goat. This won't be your regular neckbeard-related content, even though a neckbeard makes his appearance throughout this story, but more a recollection of events that I've encountered through my 2.5-year-long employment at a major hospital. Depending on how y'all like this story, I can provide some more parts. I just have to sort through the perpetual chaos that makes up my mind. My god, I'm right there with you on that. Yeah, it's hard to know what's what up there. But I am excited for hospital events because the Swamps of Dagobah Reddit post has gone down in history, so if it's anything like that, we should get some really great cringe. Although it might be the more emotional than gross out kind. I don't really know. It could go any which way in a hospital. Mandatory disclaimer about English not being my first language. I have no excuse for formatting other than me being a dumbass. I'm taking bets on whether or not OP is from Turkey. It's good odds. Without further ado, we'll get on to the cast. OP. At the time of my hiring, a 20-year-old soon-to-be student at the local university. I received an email on my student mail address that one of the hospital institutes was looking for new student workers as their current worker had graduated. Little on-the-job experience for free? Why not? Predecessor. I'll be taking over his job after a 3-month-long period where he shows me everything that I need to know. Whereas all other jobs at the hospital were related to medicine, study nurses, doctors, researchers, or admin, our job was the only IT related, so it was important that his replacement was up to snuff before he left for greener pastures. We're using student IT workers to protect medical documents inside a hospital? Okay, I feel so secure now. The job. I always describe the job as being the resident computer fairy because 50% of my job was basically first-level support for all kinds of electrical appliances. Here, go bang on the side of Grandma's heart monitor with a wrench. Wake up, Grandma! Beep! Oh, there's a bad sound. This could mean basic computer and printer maintenance, but also doing some rudimentary MacGyvering on lab equipment. What the hell kind of hospital is this? Already it's cringe. Is there not a single sterile environment in this building? Can't afford a new Bunsen burner? Duct tape it. Surely it won't skew the results of anything. The tiny scientific part of me is really upset right now, but okay. That was most of what my colleagues saw me do, but I also handled lots of administrative stuff behind the scenes, such as ordering and organizing events, etc. The hospital had an IT department, but they charge your institute $5 for every ticket they have to open, as well as a fee based on how long they needed to complete the task. Since office staff tends to call IT for empty printers, it's simply cheaper to hire a student for $400 a month rather than have IT drain their wallets. Yes, and surely they'll pass that savings on to you! Uh-huh. It sounds like a mess, but what do I know, really? The boss, a medical professional and a god in his domain. He has 2 PhDs related to medicine, and he wrongfully concluded that this would make him an expert in everything. This wasn't the case, otherwise I wouldn't have a job, for better or for worse. He's a giant of a man, at least 2 meters, with a thick Southeastern European dialect. This made communication a bit difficult sometimes, but luckily, most of the communication went through. Obviously, he learned nothing about the Dunning-Kruger effect during his 2 PhDs, but okay. Next, we've got his assistant. She hated being called a secretary, even though that was her job. Worked part-time at the hospital and witnessed most of this lunacy firsthand. Since boss was busy most of the time, she was the person that I was in contact with most of the time. We've also got Lab Rat, the head of the Institute's small nurse lab. She was in her early 60s. Other relevant characters will be introduced as they appear. Dawn of the First Day. I talked with Predecessor only twice until this point, and this would be the first time seeing him in real life, and I was surprised. All I knew was that he just finished his master's degree in cybersecurity, so I expected stereotypical computer guy to greet me on my arrival. Instead, I got a jacked up Jim Bro version of Ed Sheeran sat in the office, and he introduced himself. Just Ed Sheeran if he picked up a barbell instead of a guitar. The first task of the day was setting up the conference room for one of Boss's many virtual events. Oh god. Yeah, we could have done this in an email, thanks so much. This meant checking computers and cameras, hopping on a video call with the event's sponsor, some pharmaceutical company from another country, and hooking up the lights. We had some studio lights that needed to be carried over from storage, so of course I helped Predecessor with that. We positioned and adjusted the lights, and Predecessor was visibly impressed, but I didn't know why. Well, I know about lighting the lights. I watched The Muppet Show. It's time to start the music.
It's time to light the light. It's time to meet the Muppet on the Muppet Show tonight.
Whatever. Maybe his last underling was woefully incompetent. We headed back up to our office after the setup was done, where Predecessor told me why he was impressed. You were hands-on without me even having to ask. I was confused and retorted, well, isn't that my job? He then told me that there was another student working for the Institute, and went on to tell me with noticeable vitriol, he was originally supposed to take over my job. I tried to show him everything he had to do, but he always stood there with his hands in his pockets. When I installed the lights for the last event, he just stood there and let me do all the work. I had to tell him everything that he had to do. He did nothing on his own initiative. Okay, I've got a theory for this. I'm pretty sure he's a robot of some sort.
I am the robot. I am the robot.
He can't make his own decisions. You have to tell him what to do. Just queue up like 3-4 tasks at a time. He'll be fine. Predecessor told me that they decided to hire a new guy because this dude obviously wasn't fit for the job, and yeah, that's how I got there. Hey, second choice. Especially getting picked after that guy would be noticeably insulted. So OP says, I was skeptical. If he was the way my predecessor described, how could he have landed a job with the hospital in the first place? Indeed! Pull the thread and the whole sweater will unravel! His response gave a slight insight to how things were run at that particular workplace. Predecessor, it's nepotism. You see, the 3 people who've worked here for the longest are boss, assistant, and lab rat. He's Lab Rat's son, so boss felt obligated to give him a job. Well, did we learn any lessons from this experience? Probably not. Next person that has a kid, let me know. They're hired. Introducing Loki. At this point, we should probably properly introduce this guy, so let's call him Loki, because Lab Rat actually named him after a Norse god. As much as Predecessor did not look like the stereotypical IT guy, Loki did. Yeah, he got into it because he's lazy. From the long, greasy hair that was tied up into a ponytail, to the black cargo shorts and the black t-shirts of various metal bands, to the Zelda-themed wallet and the open-toed sandals. This guy was not as smelly on most days, but maybe once a week he would smell of stale cum and old, soggy cardboard. Oh, he's got a cum box in his room, I'm pretty sure. He sleeps in it at night. I really do love the addition of the Zelda-themed wallet. Did it have a Triforce? Because I would only buy one that actually had a rupee on it. I'm quite the Puritan, you see. He wasn't as coon-brained as your stereotypical neckbeard, but he definitely had the incompetence. He often had obscure ideas on how to solve problems, but never the ambition to actually lift a hand to turn them into a reality. Think of a buffed Stephen Hawking with, like, less brilliance, but equal ability to do physical work.
Shit.
Why can't come after Stephen Hawking like that, bro? That is so cold. He was a certified mama's boy, to the point that Lab Rat had to call him to wake him up whenever he didn't come to work, which happened more times than I even have the ability to count to. Yeah, he's due for some hard life lessons, I think. Lab Rat also brought him a Tupperware for his lunch every day, and would set it on his desk for her precious boy to feast upon. Lab Rat babied this boy way too much. Let him learn some things about the real world. Fall down, scrape his knee. It's fine. I'm gonna guess that there's no Mr. Lab Rat, because dads are usually the ones to be like, see that? You fell down. Now don't do it again. About once a month, Loki would talk at me. Not with, because he only knew how to communicate via monologue, or soliloquy if you prefer, about John McAfee for an hour straight, and show me the notorious video about how to uninstall McAfee antivirus.
The procedure for removing McAfee antivirus software from your computer, make sure you have a full backup.
Yes, Bartholomew. Back it up.
I sort of identify with that. John McAfee, Edward Snowden, I want to be an international fugitive. Lab Rat once made an offhand comment about how Loki was kicked from university because he took too long to complete his degree, so he went to the technical college down the street. How long before they kick you out? How old is he? Oh, OP answers that in the next sentence, okay. Until my last week working there, I never knew how old he was. I suspected him to be maybe 2 or 3 years older than I was, so at that point, like 22 to 23, but maybe after 2 years of working there, assistant informed me of his real age. He was a 29-year-old student and still lived at his mother's house. Nothing wrong with that in itself, but he never made the effort to move out. I like that you point that out. Sometimes you do need a little recovery period at some point in your life, and it's great that parents are there for you. But if you never once tried to move out and spread your wings, you're not living your life to the fullest. That's all I'm saying. How are you ever going to become an international fugitive like that? That's what I'm saying. His mother also coddled her son to an unnatural degree. Yeah, I saw that one coming from way down the pipe. He and I were not allowed to take vacations at the same time. We were supposed to coordinate our vacation time, especially during Christmas. One year I was supposed to take the week between Christmas and New Year's off, and it was his turn the year after. Lo and behold, the year where I was supposed to take the Christmas week off, he didn't care about the boss's instructions. Keep in mind that I had already bought train tickets to see family several hundred kilometers away, and his little stunt may have meant that I wasted a lot of money on them. Yeah, you can tell he hasn't learned a damn thing in 29 years. You gotta let his head roll. If you're the boss, if you want anybody to continue respecting you, something must be done. When I emailed Assistant to point out that it was actually my turn to take Christmas week off, Lab Rat turned up at my office door. His mother tried to guilt trip me on behalf of her son. So pathetic. Mommy, go tell him to let me take the week off. She said that he had already made plans with family, and he had already requested vacation time off. But I stood firm. He and his mother treated me with the silent treatment for weeks to come. Well, unless he rambled about John McAfee, of course. I mean, John McAfee, he is a special exception. I really like that you stood your ground, you know? I am sorry that Lab Rat had to get offended on her son's behalf, but there's a lesson for her to learn here too, okay? The world doesn't move just for you. Everybody's out here, we got our things going on. I worked Christmas last year. Leave me alone. Truth is, doing YouTube, I work Christmas every year. It's fine, it's fine. That's it for this story. Please leave some feedback. If you want to hear more stories like this, for example, how an anti-vaxxer managed to land a job with us and then freaked out when nurses in a hospital administer vaccines, then hit me up. It definitely isn't the stereotypical type of cringe. It's a more relatable type of cringe, honestly. I was that sleeping past my alarm person between 18 and 20, but then I found out he's pushing 30. I'm like, uh-oh, we might be in for a bit of trouble with that one. I'm interested to see if he's going to be like the focal point of the whole thing, or if we're going to get another short story in the next part. I guess we should probably just go and find out for ourselves. So join me over there. I worked at a Cringe Hospital, number 2. Oh, you love to see it. For now, let's visit Kevina and her shenanigans. I vaguely described her in my previous post, but it's time to give you the full picture. Kevina was a spiritual healer and is deep into esoteric healing methods, where you use the power of stones and moonlit water or petal circles. I'd like to use stones to fix my problems. The problem is when you ask people how it works, what is the method behind the madness, you get some vague answer akin to like, it's magic, I ain't gotta explain shit. Kevina looks like a regular office worker in her mid-50s on first glance, but on a closer look, you can definitely point out some oddities. Knitted sweaters, lightly rose-tinted reading glasses for her work in front of a monitor, and a light sense of incense everywhere she goes. Her sweaters were several sizes too small, and she tied her hair up using pipe cleaners of various colors. She might best be described by the term undercover hippie. I mean, 50 years old, the timelines sort of add up, depending how long ago this happened. She just was never able to let that part of herself go. And maybe that's fine. Maybe I can relate. Maybe that's why I'm an early 2000s skater punk deep at heart. Kevina's first day at work was around April or May in 2021, during a time of high COVID cases and strictly enforced mask mandates. Mask mandates were extra strict inside the hospital since immunologically compromised patients roam the hallways and the waiting rooms, and doctors are also wandering from station to station. Yeah, hospital's crazy as hell, boy. You gotta be extra careful in there. The hospital supplied its workers with free surgical masks, the blue-white ones that you saw everywhere during the height of the pandemic, to use in their free time as well as free FFP2 masks to wear inside the hospital. Well, isn't that nice? Who's paying for this? Oh, that's the savings from the IT department. All right, shout out OP. DIY masks had been permitted for the first few months of the pandemic, but have long been outlawed. The hospital mandated that every worker who had direct contact with patients must wear an FFP2 mask. I don't know why it wasn't standard in a hospital in the first place. I didn't see Kevina on her first day, but I've been told after the fact that she refused to wear an FFP2 mask, even though she had direct patient contact on account of being a study nurse, and signed her work contract that explicitly told her about that requirement. Well, rock in a hard place. Gotta let some heads roll. Boss isn't even gonna bother with it, is he? He's gonna be like, actually, that's my niece. Oh, cool. Some coworkers invited me to a small after-work barbecue in the local park, and since it was coincidentally Kevina's first day, we invited her along as some kind of welcome to the team. Everyone contributed something, and we planned to stop by the local store to get some more missing bits and bobs. Yeah, we need streamers and balloons. What are we celebrating? I don't know, but it doesn't feel like we could just have a barbecue. Where the beers? Screw the beers. Jack Daniels will stretch further. We all met at the shopping center after work, which is where I was first introduced to kevina. Everyone agreed to contribute something. One coworker brought marinated vegetables, another brought paper plates and utensils, some wanted to buy their meat fresh from the store, so we all adorned our masks to enter the store. But Kevina's mask looked a little different from ours. Kevina's mask was crochet. DIY masks have long been outlawed several months ago, and even then, crochet masks with holes the size of a pencil were a no-go. She really just wants to be one of those people, right? Not just Kevina energy, but also Karen energy. I don't want to wear the mask. Why not? I can't breathe. That's because of your fat gut pressing on your diaphragm. When Kevina tried to enter the store, her chin and mouth essentially wrapped in just a fishnet stocking, the security guard stopped her and informed her that she needed to put on a real mask. She feigned ignorance, claiming to not be aware of the fact that DIY masks were no longer allowed. Kevina then pulled out what can only be described as the most worn-out surgical mask in existence. You know how fresh surgical masks are smooth and they slowly disintegrate over time? Yummy microplastics. Small white fibers sprouted off in every direction, like mold growing on leftover food. Oh, that's why she doesn't like it tickles her nose. She doesn't know you're not supposed to just throw it in the washing machine. This really only happens after weeks or even months of constant use. Keep in mind that surgical masks are meant to be thrown away after a day or so because the moisture in your breath reduces the protection that it provides. And because the environment's hungry for more microplastics, we have to feed our ever-expanding Earth. The amount of spit and moisture that poor mask must have seen might rival a small river by this point. Nasty, dude. And you're gonna smell the spaghetti with garlic that you had for dinner a couple weeks back? You're an animal. Why do you do this to yourself? I, on account of not having a spine at this point in my life, said nothing, despite the horrendous sight before me. It was still better than nothing, right? I don't know, man. Probably not worth arguing over, in my opinion, either. Just don't breathe near me, okay? My coworkers split like a gang of teens in a bad horror movie, and we agreed to meet at the cash register once everyone got their things. Food, charcoal, drinks, everything you need for a nice barbecue. Sounds like such a vibe, honestly. I miss doing stuff like this. I'm gonna go do some stuff like this. Call me Mr. Beast of the Philippines. Hey, you want some free barbecue? We got it right here. I mean, it's a stick of meat. It's not $100,000, but it's what the budget allows for. Kevina just decided to stroll around the store, but didn't actually purchase anything. She walked from coworker to coworker, asking us random things that I couldn't be bothered to remember. A thought began creeping up into the back of my mind. She surely won't be eating the food that we brought to the barbecue without contributing anything herself, right? Right? Oh, sweet summer child. She's along for the ride. She's gonna soak up as many hot dogs as she possibly can. And I mean that literally and as a euphemism. I saw Kevina numerous times with her nose poking out of her masks, and on at least 3 occasions, store clerks informed her that she needed to put her mask over her nose. She complied at first, but after taking a few steps away from the clerk, she'd be pulling her mask down all over again. She's like a child. If you really don't want to wear the mask, then just don't go in the store. Slap a 20 in OP's hand and be like, go get me some JD. I want the sour mash. No, wait, the golden honey. She constantly pulled her mask a few centimeters away from her face to get more air. The air probably didn't make it through the drenching wet remnants of what was once a surgical mask to facilitate her mouth breathing. The ear straps that held her mask in place were stretched so thin that it appeared her mask was assembled using leftover fishing line. It's the big bundle. Slap that on your face. You got hooks to keep it secure. After reuniting at the cash register, where Kevina was once again reminded to wear her mask properly, we went searching for a nice spot in the park nearby. I brought a mobile picnic table that, when disassembled, looks like a suitcase. Oh, I got one of those! It's got like the 2 benches inside. Oh my god, so good. The assembly was a bit finicky, so a pair of helping hands was much appreciated. I asked the group if someone was willing to help, but of course, Kevina did not volunteer. Yeah, she's just waiting for the hot dog. Other coworkers were busy preparing the small grill that someone had brought with them, and another coworker began laying out some picnic blankets. Kevina, on the other hand, just sat there at first. And once we placed our homemade food on the small picnic table, got busy helping herself to said food. She started with a tortellini salad that I brought, continued with a helping of a coworker's salad, and then had a go at a third salad. You're all a bunch of cucks for not calling her out on it, I'll say that right now. It only takes one person to be like, hey, what did you bring? Get away from that food! But I guess maybe she's a new coworker, you want to make her feel welcome, but you kind of already got the vibe, don't you? It doesn't take very much time at all to clock what somebody's about. And yeah, you already know. I don't have to tell you. I also made an apple pie for this occasion, and she got herself a slice. As I went over to help with the grill, Kevina began backseat cooking. Oh my god, not like this. You are not going to tell me how to barbecue my meat. Sit over there and do your best impression of a pig with lipstick.
What do you think?
Kevina. Oh, OP, I would have used more honey for the dressing. It need more sweetness. It's right, Kevina's sugars are getting low. Of course you need more sweetness. Any way to pack more refined sugar into your porcine frame, no? She watched one season of MasterChef. She's like, I got this. Kevina. Hey, coworker, I tried your salad. You should put some pine kernels in it next time. Well, maybe I could if you brought some pine kernels. If you brought anything at all, go forage in the forest. Find some pine kernels and bring them back to improve the salad. Alternatively, just don't eat the salad and shut the fuck up about it. Wow, that escalated quickly.
I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Kevina, to all of us preparing the grill, hey, you guys should light some newspaper on fire instead of using those dull sawdust pellets. Yes, with any luck, that newspaper print will contain some heavy metals, and that should really make a tasty treat. You thought burnt meat was a carcinogen. You ain't seen anything yet. One of our coworkers was Muslim and thus only ate halal meat. We decided to cook her food first so that it wouldn't come into contact with utensils that touched non-halal meat. Kevina was visibly upset about that. She'd been eyeing some marinated pork that a coworker had brought, which now had to wait. Interesting that she didn't have anything to say about that. I guess she's at least smart enough to know what it is she could get away with. During the evening, she asked questions to justify going on small rants. Kevina. OP, what star sign were you born under? OP, I was born in month. Kevina. Oh my god! My son is also that star sign. He recently moved out to university, and now his room is empty, and I think about renting it out to tourists. Oh, this isn't a conversation about me at all. I'll be checking out. Another such conversation with the head of research. Kevina, the researcher guy. Hey, what exactly did you study? Research guy. Oh, I studied microbiology. Kevina. My cousin studied pharmaceutical chemistry and now works for this huge pharma company and makes so much money. Again, you hooked me in with a question about myself, and then you proceed to talk about yourself. Really just some deep main character vibes. Somebody tell her that. Tell her exactly what I said to her face and see how she responds. Probably not well. It's fine. She'll be out of your hair. The evening did go pretty well, and it was a nice get-together. We ran out of meat about an hour in, which was when Kevina decided to leave. She left her used plate with leftover food on it on the table because she didn't have the courtesy to walk the 20 meters to the public bin right next to our spot. Is she an only child? That might explain a lot of this self-centrism. This brings Kevina's first day to an end, but I still have a small palate cleanser to tickle your privacy bones and to rustle your IT jimmies. During my job interview, I was informed that I would be in charge of maintaining a photo database. Hell yeah, bro, information economy. Patients with chronic diseases have their pictures taken at the beginning of their treatment and follow-up pictures where they're taken whenever they come in for a checkup. That sounds almost ghoulish, like you could flip through the photos and watch them die in real time. Although I guess that's true about like everyone, everywhere you go. Everywhere you look, people are dying in real time. What the hell am I talking about? These pictures were used to document the treatment process, see progress in individual medications, and were published in medical journals in case of successful treatments where experimental medications were used. I'm gonna assume they signed a acknowledgement and possibly a waiver form for all of that. Don't experiment on me. Matter of fact, don't even fix me. Just let me lay down. I've done good enough for this life. Pictures were taken of the affected body parts, which sometimes included the face or a patient's private parts. Safe to say, these pictures show people in some of the most vulnerable phases and positions, so they needed to be kept in a safe environment. Yes, safe from everybody but Loki. Make sure you frisk that guy before he leaves. He ain't walking out of here with a thumb drive, okay? My predecessor was visibly proud when he told me about the process he employed to make sure that these pictures were anonymized. Patients are now assigned a new random case number every time they visit. Using the date of their visit, the images were renamed to a random string of characters. Think of file names like case number, date of visit, followed by the consecutive number. The problem was that this database was not a real database, but rather a folder structure in Windows. Super secure. A folder on the hard drive contained subfolders for each year, which in turn had folders for individual weeks. The folder for a week contained all the patients that visited during that time, together with their images. Who has access to this folder? I don't like this. Sounds like anybody could just get right in there if they know where to look. Doctor turns away, seconds later you're looking at a cancer-ridden butthole. Patient folders were named like last name, first name, date of birth, date of visit, code of illness. So you can imagine my shock when the anonymized pictures, X1, X2, X3, were contained in the folder Jackson, Michael, 1959, 829, 2023, 11, code. Yes, these are all pictures from Michael Jackson's medical records. Don't be ignorant. Furthermore, the images themselves were unedited. No black bars were covering the patient's faces, tattoos, or private parts. Told you, this is the worst idea ever. I'm never letting anyone take a picture of my genitals in a hospital in Turkey. And that's a credo that I can truly live by. Those were only added when the pictures were ready to be used in a publication. But until then, these pictures sometimes showed the patients in all their natural glory. Surely nobody will use these for extortion purposes. Surely! The database had no backup. The folders were not password protected, and they were on a computer that required no password. This is a mess.
It was wide open. There were literally thousands of files here.
The room the PC was in was accessible to anyone who had a basic key, so yeah, no extra protection there. My plans to set up a password to the PC was met with resistance because doctors need to be able to access the PC quickly. Then take 3 seconds to type in a password. I was also not allowed to get a backup hard drive or an encrypted hard drive. Resistance was futile because that's the way it's been done until now, so that's how it'll be done moving forward. Thanks for reading, y'all. Until the next time. Well, that is massively concerning. If you ever walk into a hospital where they have duct-taped lab equipment and a computer with a folder of indiscriminate photos of myriad people in their most vulnerable positions that anybody can walk up and see, you turn and run. You don't want to go to that hospital. It's a cringe hospital on many levels, and it seems like there's many interesting characters, so I'll be excited to read some more when they crop up. But no rush, you know? Thank you, Ergodan Sexgoat, for the introduction. Username, still hilarious to me. And I hope to see some more quite soon. On the end card, I'm gonna link the Star Wars Shenanigans. It has somebody that goes to a hospital. And as heart-wrenching as it was during that saga, I'm glad it wasn't this hospital that he went to. Click on through on the end card to find out what the hell I'm talking about. Thanks so much. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it. And I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye. Go ahead and cut them open. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.